Hello and welcome everybody to the Sanctioned Ivan Show. And today we're going to be trying out a new format talking about what is happening all around the place. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button because 40% of you are still not subscribed to the channel. Really helps the channel out. Thank you very much. Today we are going to be talking about a protest which was created by the biggest propaganda singer of this century in Russia. And this protest was held in front of the US Embassy in Moscow. His nickname is Shaman, but his real name is Yaroslav Dronov. Is it only me, or does he remind me of somebody from Wait a minute, that guy reminds me of Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter. Now the question is, who is Lord Voldemort? Oh, okay, let's not talk about this. The history of this guy is not that interesting, but how did he get his propaganda fame all over Russia? Let's look into it. Usually, singers all around the world start gaining their fame from going to different TV shows like X Factor and I don't know any other shows, but I just know X Factor. So obviously, this guy has been in a Russian X Factor and a Russian show called Voice in 2013 and 2014. Obviously, in my opinion, he probably didn't have any success because I have not heard of him until now. Maybe after the Russian X Factor, he had some fans, but his name was never in any news articles or anywhere like that. And he actually became a very famous Russian singer after the famous song that he made in Russia called I'm Russian. And that is the name of the song that he has produced, which you could hear in a lot of places in Russia nowadays. This song has become so popular that when Russian government was celebrating the anniversary of the Ukraine and Russia war, he was the one singing at that event, which I don't understand how you could celebrate an anniversary of people killing each other, but it is what it is, and the guy was there singing his songs. On 24th of June, 2024, Dronov was sanctioned by the European Union. The citation has stated that Dronov, aka Shaman, repeatedly participated in Kremlin-organized events and ceremonies, including what we've already talked about, the anniversary of the war. When he got really famous, and he was singing that song, I'm Russian, a lot of Russian government officials actually got quite angry at him, stating, why is this guy only singing the patriotic songs in the city center, in St. Petersburg, in the places where there's absolutely no fighting going on? So he was obviously somehow threatened or pressured to go into different regions like Lugansk and Donetsk to give his concert to the soldiers from the Russian army. And obviously, when you have pressure and you're probably promised millions of Russian rubles, probably even dollars, he has accepted the deal and went to Donetsk, Lugansk, and done his concerts. Obviously, this has backfired on him because the European Union has also figured that out and sanctioned him for that. Following the sanctions, his YouTube channel and his Spotify account has been completely terminated. But why would the guy care? He's the one who says that Russia is the best, Kremlin is the best, and that there's no need for the West to do anything because the West is the number one enemy trying to destroy Russia from the inside. Nevertheless, this brings us to the second part of this video. The main topic of this video. He got very angry that his YouTube channel got banned. There's no more of him posting out his songs on YouTube. But bro, why are you getting so mad? You're the one who is saying that the US is bad. YouTube is created in the US. So why wouldn't you just use a Russian alternative? Why are you getting all so mad at this? Don't get mad and keep on singing on Russian television. I find this situation quite funny that this man has gathered a protest in front of the US Embassy to show the US something. I don't know what yet. Nobody has figured out what he was trying to show. But the thing is, Russia actually has alternatives to YouTube. It's called RuTube, which is basically, I'm guessing, Russian tube. Is the reason he's not using it because nobody even in Russia cares about that hosting? It's one of the worst websites you could visit. It's very hard to find videos, it's just horrible in general. And most Russians watch YouTube. They do not care about the Russian website, which is a copycat of YouTube that barely even works properly. Is that guy mad because he was actually banned from a decent platform which is actually viewed worldwide, and most Russians use it to find out his songs? And that is the main reason why he got so mad, because he faced at least some consequences of the things he's doing, which is working for the Kremlin propaganda. Anyways, Shaman, use the Russian platforms. They could be glitchy, they could be laggy, but at least it is the patriotic platform that you should be pushing through. The best of the best, RuTube. What could possibly be better? Obviously not the rotted West YouTube, right? Come on, stop lying to yourself. Flippin' heck. Okay, I think it's actually time for us to check out the footage from the actual protest in front of the US Embassy in Moscow. Well, we could see that he has organized a protest in front of the US Embassy. This whole protest is because his YouTube channel got banned. A lot of people in that protest are saying that YouTube is very bad and that it is made by Americans and that you should not watch it. But they are there so that Shaman would have a chance of getting unbanned on the platform. The question is, most of the people who came to the protest probably have been watching YouTube half an hour before they actually came over to the US Embassy. So, what are you guys doing? Are you there to be against the US? Or are you there to help your so-called favorite singer get his channel back on the evil West platform? What are you guys doing? Do you even have... I sometimes think that people don't have brains, but they have sludge inside of their skull, because they are going against what they're thinking of YouTube and the US to help out this guy who looks like Draco Malfoy get himself back on YouTube, although he's the one who hates the US. Makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. So many people there are so brainwashed that they don't even understand why was Shaman even banned of the platform. Let's check out the little interview that he did before the actual protest, aka the concert in front of the US Embassy in Moscow.
Тише, ребята!
Ну что вы как не родные? Ну давайте, ну здравствуйте!
Здравствуйте!
Другое дело.
Ярослав, что ты сейчас чувствуешь? Ведь ты творишь историю, ты ее создаешь.
Не я твою историю. Мы, каждый из нас здесь творит историю. И ребята творят историю. Вся Россия творит историю. И то, что я сейчас чувствую, лучше всего охарактеризует вот этот звук толпы. Посмотрите на них.
Скажи, что должна сделать, что может сделать Россия в ответ на блокировку твою по отношению к Google? Какой ответ мы можем это сделать?
А я уже это делаю. Именно поэтому я сейчас здесь и сейчас у американского посольства.
We could see that he is saying that they are creating history, which will be remembered. So he thinks it is history that his crappy music channel got banned on YouTube, which I think they did the right thing. He gathered a lot of people, which obviously he has fans in Moscow, to go in front of the US Embassy and listen to his crappy music. The thing is, there's probably only 10 workers working at the US Embassy in Moscow right now, because when the war started, a lot of the workers in the US Embassy got sent back home or to another countries to keep on working. Because obviously the US government thinks that it's not the safest environment for the US workers to work in the embassy at that time, because they are working for the US government, and you never know. They could be arrested for being a spy. You never know. First of all, the US Embassy does not care who the heck Shaman is, his crappy music, or anything to do with him. So the first point is, this was pointless to do. Second of all, it's not the US Embassy that makes decisions of unbanning people on YouTube. I think the US Embassy has more important things to do than listen to a crappy singer and asking YouTube to unban him. And I really doubt that the US Embassy, after being tortured with his crappy songs, were calling up Google headquarters asking them, can you please unban Shaman right now, because we cannot be listening to his crappy music for this long. What I'm trying to say is, if you are against the West, use Russian streaming services and stop complaining about getting banned. Just use the Russian stuff. You're in Russia, and there's no chance of you ever going to a different country, because you're practically sanctioned and banned from all the civilized democratic countries on this planet. I wonder what will happen to you, Shaman, when the government finally changes in Russia, and what sort of songs are you gonna be singing in prison? I'm actually very surprised by the fact that this protest went so smoothly. It went so smoothly. 0 arrests, 0 beating ups by the police. Very interesting. When you see the peaceful protests against the current regime in Russia, you have the police officers arresting people, beating them up. You have military police giving out waivers saying that tomorrow you're going to be fighting somewhere in the trenches in Ukraine. Nevertheless, we got the biggest propaganda singer of this century creating a huge protest in the city center of Moscow in front of the US Embassy, and there's absolutely 0 problems. I was reading comments under some of the videos of the protest that he did, which wasn't really a protest, it was more of a torture of the American workers in the embassy listening to his crap songs. And a lot of the commenters were saying, so you have hundreds of very, very patriotic so-called people saying that they are against the West, against the US, against the Ukraine. Why didn't you have military police and enlistment offices beside the US Embassy? You might as well have opened it up. You could have seen by the amount of people there that they are willing to go and fight for Russia. Obviously, that would have never happened because most of the people speaking out in this protest against the West and Ukraine, once they get a letter, they're going to be the ones first running off and saying that this is not worth it. What are they even talking about? We would rather sit in Moscow. But if you're going to protests like this and you are pro-Putin and pro-Shaman and pro-Kremlin, you might as well show them your loyalty. Go ahead and jump into a trench. Why not? Instead of speaking out how bad the West and Ukraine is during the peaceful Shaman propaganda protest concerts, whatever the guy is doing. As I was editing and creating this video, I have got a little update. So Shaman actually posted out in his Telegram chat the following, and let me read this out to you. Dears, we have sung I'm Russian beside the US Embassy, and Biden has left the presidential race, serving Russia. What substance is this singer taking? That is my main question, because does he actually think that because he sang his crappy songs which tortured the US workers at the US Embassy in the city center of Moscow, did that make Biden leave? I can believe that Biden actually left the presidential race because Shaman was playing his songs in his house until he was like, okay guys, I am just gonna leave this presidential race. But what I wanted to say is this guy is completely out of his mind and definitely has some problems in his head, because even writing posts like this is just incredibly stupid. This video clearly shows how the Russian government is using singers to spread propaganda. Those singers are obviously very happy for the fact that they have fame. They're getting a lot of money. They're driving fancy cars in Russia. But they're not thinking for the fact that this sum of money that they're receiving right now is actually going to hurt their children and their grandchildren in the future to come, because they're the ones feeding this regime and feeding it that is ruining my beloved country. And I consider myself a true patriot because, in my opinion, Russia could have been an amazing place. And before anybody says anything to me, how could you be a patriot? How could you love Russia? You guys have to realize one thing. There's two different things, right? Patriot loves his country. The so-called patriots in those meetings are not patriots. They're the ones who spread the butt cheeks of the current regime and lick it out, all right? They're the ones who are ruining the countries because they're completely brainwashed. Can I blame them? I don't know, because it is very hard to not be completely brainwashed when you have disinformation coming from all sides, from television, newspapers, Russian social networks. And you got to remember, Instagram is banned in Russia, Facebook is banned in Russia, and I actually have heard stories that Google servers are not being able to be maintained in Russia, which means that YouTube and Google are going to be slowly slowing down until they completely die and disappear in Russia. And what will that create? That will create a network called Cheburnet, which is similar to the North Korean internet, where all the information inside is going to be completely controlled by the government. I really hope that that does not happen and something will change for the good so that my country does not crumble down into a completely closed country with zero future. I really hope something will change, and it's very hard, guys. It's very hard living in another country when you know that your country is destroying itself from the insides because of the people controlling it. It is just very, very sad. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this format. If you enjoyed this format, hit the like button, comment in the comment section below what do you guys think about this situation and this format, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button because it is completely free to do, and only 40% of you watching this video are actually subscribed. So you might as well subscribe right now so you could follow the updates of my life and news from Russia. I'll see you next time, and be safe, everybody.